At the end of the day, old school hard work will never go away.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care how many quote unquote coaches you find out there. If you're not willing to put in the work, it does not matter. But unless you will actually get outside your comfort zone and do the work, it will not work for you, period. The end.
Welcome to the AAA Mindset, the podcast where adversity isn't a setback, it's the setup. If life has challenged you and stepped on your confidence and forced you to pivot, you're in the right place. Here, we train the mind to face obstacles head on and turn them into fuel for growth, resilience, and success.
All right, you guys, well, welcome back to the AAA Mindset. We are so excited for today because we're going to be talking about different topics. The last few series, you've gotten to know Adam, myself, and Anastasia, our stories, and how we really have gotten to where we are today. But we want to help you now with the mental toughness and what is it going to take in order to get to where you want to go in life, because you're going to have to overcome things that are hard. So we have some topics today that we're going to talk about to help you grow in that mindset to become the best version of yourself. So Anastasia,
all right,
what are we talking about today?
All right, so today's episode is going to be about constructive criticism and coaching uncoachable people. And as you know, we're all coaches in a different space. We've had experience with that. We've also had coaches and mentors in our lives, and how our experience with that has helped us become these coaches. Let's kick it off right off the bat. In the past, have you guys taken constructive criticism well, or do you get defensive? I know I can answer that one for Adam.
I would say both, because if I respect you and you're giving me constructive criticism, I'll absolutely be all ears. But if I don't respect you and you're just coming at me with an opinion, but I don't respect your opinion, then I'm probably going to think you're full of shit. So that's just, it go either way. I think it depends on the person that I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
Right out the gate. Let's go.
Hey,
get ready for
we're keeping it real today. We're getting a little spicy.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
You know,
I would definitely agree with you. If I am asking for the constructive criticism, then I love it. And especially if I look up to that person, they have a business that that I want, then I can definitely appreciate what they're telling me. But if it's somebody giving it to me that I didn't ask for it, or I'm also like, I don't have the respect, like you said, I can probably get a little bit defensive with it. So I think it's important just to remember, like, if you're going to give constructive criticism, does that person really want it? Right. Or are you just feeling like you want to be a know-it-all?
And I think a lot of people, they just have an opinion on everything, and they just have to voice that opinion no matter what. Like we've started being more active on social media, and we'll have people reach out who don't even do anything on social media, trying to give us advice on how to come off on social media. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, thank you so much. I didn't ask for your opinion, but I appreciate that that's on the top of your mind today.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me personally, when I was younger, I was more hard-headed and less open to feedback because I was determined on what I was going to do.
When you were younger, hard-headed?
I actually thought the same thing. I love you. I
was like, that's changed over the years?
Maybe more immature was the right word. And so I was less inclined to listen to certain people, or I was just kind of like, oh, I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless of what you say. So I think that was my experience with getting defensive initially. But I also think it's the role. Like if somebody is in a position to give you that constructive criticism, like a parent or a coach or a mentor or a teacher or something like that, then that's one thing. But if they're not even set up in that role, and when it comes out of the gate, like this random person on social media, you're like, huh? Like, I'm sorry, you have no business telling me anything. And then you can get defensive for that, But I mean, I don't know. Maybe when you get older, you get more like set and you're more decisive about what you feel like is right and wrong. And so, having disagreements with people is probably more common, but.
So Anastasia calls it, when we have a disagreement, she says that she's passionate. She likes to call it passion.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I know I said before, if somebody just reaches out to you and gives you advice versus you're asking for advice, it's a different mindset. But if it's somebody that you totally respect and they just happen to reach out, like, I don't know, like Mr. 20-time Olympia. I don't know if that's a thing, but if there was a thing and he happened to reach out and say, hey, you're doing a great job. I didn't notice
but
this.
But your arms suck. You should do this.
But like, let me give you an example. If somebody that I respect in my industry reached out to me and was like, hey, you're doing an amazing job, but this is something that might help you too, I'm going to totally appreciate that they did that versus, again, somebody who I have no respect. I shouldn't say no respect for, but somebody that I'm like, really? I always think about too, when you're going to give constructive criticism, think about an Oreo. Positive, negative, positive. Start with a positive. In the middle, it can be
a compliment sandwich.
A compliment sandwich. Yeah. Exactly. That's very important when doing this.
Right.
Okay. So when someone does get defensive, is that a sign that feedback is wrong? Or is it because that hit too close to home?
I think it hit too close to home.
If you're explain, go into this more.
Me?
No.
Oh.
The host.
So the host, whoever, let's think about it from your perspective. If like a client of yours gets defensive from what you're telling them, is that a sign that your feedback is wrong? Probably not.
No, it probably struck a nerve.
Or it hit too close to home.
Right. It's like these people that talk shit on the internet when we go and post something and they want to come back with some snarky comment. We probably struck a nerve with whatever we posted, and they're probably internalizing that.
Right. But let's go from the client perspective, client coaching perspective, because now you have that. So when you're actually coaching a client and you give them something constructive to work on that they may not necessarily want to hear, and they get defensive about it, you don't automatically think, well, maybe I should rethink what I said to them.
No.
You're the coach, you're in the pilot seat. You are the one that's going to land the plane. You have the expertise. So it's
know that, but you also have to have your client know that.
They have to trust that.
Yes.
So
Right.
there's a trust relationship between coach and client, or coach, mentor, and student, whatever.
And I'm going to go off here.
Bring it at him.
And I
This
think
is a
the biggest,
topic for you.
the biggest issue, and again, I think AI is great. I do. But I think what I see from our industry is you'll take someone like myself who's been very successful at what I do. I've been doing it for 12 years. I know my shit. And you'll get a new client, or you'll get someone that you're working with, and you'll give them a plan or whatever. And they just threw that shit into ChatGPT. And if it didn't come out exactly what ChatGPT said, then you're wrong. You don't know what you're doing. And I just think there's a whole level of mistrust now. Like back in the day when I hired a bodybuilding coach, we didn't have all this stuff. You hired someone that you trusted that was really good at this shit, and you followed their plan, and it worked. Yep. You didn't go and look up everything they sent you. You didn't go analyze every little thing. You just did it, and it worked.
Yep. Well, I think that comes from two things, because we're in a society that has information overload, right? Everybody has access to so much at their fingertips. And so they automatically compare themselves to what everybody else is doing. And so they are like, well, why am I not doing it that way?
Right.
Or, so-and-so got here because I saw them on social media. It looked like they did that overnight, there's that. Or the fact that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so they're like, they're just questioning, like, does that, is that I thought the direction was going to go this way, but you are taking me this way, and trusting that person to take you that way is a whole nother level of building that coach-client relationship, in my opinion.
No, definitely. And I think you nailed it too. Everyone's an expert in a certain way right now. I've had people come to me and say, hey, I just saw this girl online who talked about, recruiting, and she's an excellent recruiter. And if I buy this course, then she can teach me how to recruit. And I'm like, at the end of the day, number one, what is the person's credentials? Because anyone can go out there and be an expert in anything that they want to do. Right. But the second piece of it is, at the end of the day, old school hard work will never go away. Oh. I don't care how much AI is out there. I don't care how many quote unquote coaches you find out there. If you're not willing to put in the work, it does not matter. You could go spend $20,000 today on a program that will promise to get you success, but unless you will actually get outside your comfort zone and do the work, it will not work for you, period, the end.
That is facts.
Right. What I always say is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't
make him drink.
Just
like working out, right?
Yep.
Anyone can go online, find a program, find a coach online, right? That swears that they're going to give them all the results that they need. But unless they show up, do the diet, and pick up a dang weight, it's not going to work for them.
And I think as coaches, I think that's tough for us because we're relying on our clients' results. And that shows how good of a coach we are, quote unquote. But if those clients aren't doing what we say, we don't look like a very good coach, because they don't get results.
Here's a question. We're a little off topic, but I think this is okay.
Okay.
Do you think people sometimes hire a coach, or in my case, buy a course online or whatever it may be, because they like the idea of dreaming of the success, but they genuinely won't put in the work?
100%.
Oh,
I get clients all the time that initially sign up with me. And then you get them their plan, you get them, through the onboarding process. And then the first week, they're like, well, this is a lot. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean,
Well,
you wanted to change. You got to be willing to change.
Absolutely.
and I think that's because that's the easy part. It's
Mhm.
easy to throw money at something. It's easy to sign up and, get the app and, get all the gear and
All the
buy the
preparation.
supplements and all that stuff and get ready to go. But the minute it takes that effort to put one foot in front of the other and to continuously do that and put the structures in place, that's where they're expecting people, their coaches, to hold their hand pretty much through everything. And that's not the case. You have to, in order for somebody to be coachable, in my opinion, there has to be a good relationship between coach and client. It has to work together. This can't be just like I'm going to take you on this adventurous ride and you just sit back and buckle up and just like enjoy it. Like, that's not what it is. It's like you have to show up just as much as your coach is showing up. And if your coach cares more about your results than you do, then that's a big problem.
Definitely. Oh, that absolutely. And I think, I was telling you guys earlier, but I was reading this morning, John Maxwell was talking about, when he looks at hiring people, he would rather hire people who he knows have good work ethic, that they've had proven success, than even somebody with just a good personality. Because
Right.
somebody who's a proven track record, like they're going to do the work. They're going to be hungry, right? They have that high achiever mentality. Whereas somebody with just a great personality, they might be able to grow in that work ethic a little bit. But if it's not in you, like, I'm not saying that you can't be successful, but like, you do have to look at your work ethic and say, like, have I done it before? And if I haven't, what's going to make me do it this time?
Right.
Because that's the question, is like, how do you get somebody who hasn't had the success that they want, but they continue trying to get the success? What is the mindset that they need in order to get the success? Because I think that they can if they really want to.
But you have to want to.
But you have to want to.
Yeah, you can't. It has to be within you. You have to want to do that. Like, no one's gonna like force you to change.
Yes.
Interestingly, I was on my social media story, I think this was last week, and I asked a series of questions to people on there, and I got like 90 people to respond, which is pretty decent. And some of the questions were like, do you make your bed every day? Do you, when you are given a free water cup at a fast food casual restaurant, do you go and take advantage and get a drink instead, or do you get water? Just questions like that, just questioning people's integrity, because it says a lot about like your habits. Like, if I were to walk in your house today, like, does your house look disgusting and gross, or is it like pretty kept up? And that's kind of tells us the kind of person or personality you're going to have through this process. So when we think about uncoachable people, those are the real things that, you get into, is like, how do you treat everything else in your life besides this thing that you're trying to accomplish? Well, what are your habits? Right?
And I think that's so true. Like, for instance, laughing, I was 10 minutes late coming here. Weird. But part of it was, I could not leave my house if my bed was not made. Like, I could not do it, because I'm like, that is just discipline for the day. And if I start my day like that, it's going to continue like that. And so that's just something I think is super important. But, I think it goes back also to like the purpose and the why. And I talk about that all the time with my team, because if you don't have a true reason why you want something, like something that's burning inside of you, that when you get out of bed every single day, when your feet hit the floor, you want to go for that goal, it's going to be hard to go for that goal. You have to have that just like burning desire inside of you. And I think that's, people want things, but they don't have the burning desire. They're okay if it doesn't happen. They'd love for it to happen. But if it didn't happen, there's insurance. Like, there's a security net, and you gotta burn the boat, push the security away, and just go for it.
And I think a lot of people, like, they want the thing, but they obviously don't want to do what it takes, because that's uncomfortable, and they'd rather just stay comfortable than be uncomfortable, because that's just what they're used to.
I think it's that too. But what are some other reasons why people could be not willing to go there? And I think part of it is because of fear, like go push themselves past to get successful. I think a lot of it is that unknown, right? Right. Like that discomfort, but it's also like that fear of like, what if I fail? What if I, so there's all these things that play into that, even though they're not, their intentions are right. They want to do it. They maybe have, 2 feet in the door, but they're really just waiting for somebody to nudge them a little bit more.
Go ahead. I know you're going to say it, and then I'll say it. Then you go.
I was just going to say, like, you already failed if you don't start. Like, I can guarantee, like, you're already failing if you don't start. So that's where you're starting. So you're only going to go up from there.
Yeah.
Do you think also that social media has played a role in people being a little bit inferior to finding success? Because on social media, I mean, you can portray yourself as whatever you want to be,
Totally.
right? I mean, you can be whoever you want. There are people who rent cars
Oh,
for
totally.
like photo shoots to look like they own a Lamborghini when they're probably driving like a Honda
wild.
Civic, which
Yeah.
nothing wrong with Honda
Li-
Civics, good
literally.
cars, just saying.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can portray yourself as anything. So are people hesitant to get started because they feel like everyone else is so far ahead of them?
Yeah, because they feel like they have to be up here.
Whereas
right out the gate.
when I got started in my industry, social media was not, it was like Facebook. You like shared where you were going for the day, right?
Right.
Like it's not what it is today. So I think people have to have a reality check and going, okay, you know what? It's going to take me step by step. I'm not going to go from 1 to a millionaire, right? Or I'm not going to go from day 1 to being on the stage.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen, but I have to be okay with the process. Along with that process comes constructive criticism. But if you are hungry enough for the success that you desire, you are going to welcome the constructive criticism.
Right.
Right.
If you really want to get better.
Mhm.
I'll take myself for an example. Like when I was coming up as a bodybuilder, like everything Dylan Armbrust told me, I was like, yes, Dylan. If he told me to eat 7 ounces of dog shit, I probably would have done it and not asked questions, because that's what he said I needed to do to get better.
Yep.
And I don't see that with the mindsets now with the people that I coach. It's not that whatever it takes mindset, because they want to go and analyze everything first. Let me overanalyze everything to make sure it's exactly right before I do it. Instead of just being like, you know what? This dude was really fucking good at this. I'm going to trust that and just do what he says.
Oh,
that's like gone.
complete. I agree with
but
you.
there's also that analysis by paralysis too. Like people overanalyze shit, overanalyze stuff.
Well,
all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think back to, I mean, I remember, and I think back and I laugh now about some of the things that I did, but my coach or my mentor told me that's what you do. And so I was like, I want what you have, so I'm going to do what you do. And it was just like, it did not matter. I didn't question it. Nothing.
That's it.
And that's where a lot of people, I think, if you want to truly have success, stop comparing yourself to anyone else online.
Yeah, for
Which
sure.
is very hard to do.
It is very hard to do.
It's very hard to do.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure we all struggle with that ourselves.
Absolutely.
You're like, oh, like, why does this person have so many more followers than me? Like, you know what I mean? People do that.
Listen, I have just given up on like worrying about the followers.
I don't really care about that. I'm just using that as an example.
But it is funny. We talked about this today, actually, because you think about followers and, I don't have this huge following, but it's because I'm not like, I don't put controversial stuff out there. I don't put stuff out that's like, going to like cause havoc, because that's not who I am. I want to be out there to motivate and inspire people. Right. I'm not asking, we have enough havoc out there. So that means I have a smaller following because I want to bring good to the world. So be it.
Love it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's go into along those lines then. How with constructive criticism can harsh delivery actually be more effective than sugarcoating? So
I would
want you
say
guys to
yes.
talk about experiences with your people that you have coached.
I mean, I tried to. I wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure if my clients listen, that they could. There's some out there that would say Adam's a little harsh.
Adam's blunt.
I am. I like to say I keep it real. Okay. You have to have that authoritative figure or that authoritative power with your clients, because you have to show them that you've been there, you've done that, you're there to lead. You can't let them be dictating everything. Otherwise, they won't respect you, and they're not going to listen to what you say. If everything they say, you're like, oh yeah, maybe we should do that, they're going to be like, you're a pushover, dude.
Right.
Like you got to have that. You got to have some balls.
Yep. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I usually ask, because I'm a blunt person as well, except for maybe in a little bit more
Abby's just nicer about it. I just don't really
Little the Oreo effect.
I like the Oreo effect, but I do ask people if they if I know they want to grow, and I do see things that they're doing that I know need, some pivots or whatever. I ask them if they give me permission to be honest. Like, do you give me permission just to like be really honest with you right now? Because I want that permission before I do it, so that I can then go on there and say, hey,
you said you gave me permission.
You gave me permission, and if you don't want it, then that's okay, and I'm not going to waste my breath.
Yeah.
Say no next time I ask you for permission.
Yeah. And I think that goes along with like, do you think people who can accept those harsh deliveries are people who are coachable, and the people who need the sugar coating or need the more like soft approach are uncoachable?
Right.
What do you think?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think like with my clients, like I kind of judge them, and I kind of know like who I can be like straight up with and who I need to like, fluff it up a little bit, because I don't want to be a meanie, So yeah, I think you just have to judge the person. I mean, I definitely have clients that I just rip and raw, and then I have clients that I'm just like, you can do better next time,
You got this.
Yeah.
You got this.
You can do this,
Mental nudges.
And I think it's also who it's coming from. I remember when I first got started, it was prior to me like ever speaking on stages or doing anything like this. And I got nervous and I would say a lot. And I remember you were doing a great job. But I remember my husband was like, hey, you need to watch saying so much. And I was so offended initially when he said that because I was already feeling insecure.
Yeah.
Because it was something new I was doing. And so I was already a little insecure there. And then
close to home.
Yes. But I will tell you what, and I still say some for sure. I think everybody does, but I catch it. And it did make me, especially when I like speak on stages, people are like, you slow down so much. And it's because I don't want to say
you're like enunciating your words better.
I definitely slow down so I can make sure I don't say And again, I was defensive about it when he said it, but it was constructive criticism I did need to hear.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you may not have accepted it fully at the time you were, but that was really masked by your own insecurities.
Yes.
And then you realize later on, like, okay, this is something I do need to work on.
Yes.
And I think getting constructive criticism from our spouse is much harder to take because it's your spouse. Like that's why I don't coach this one in bodybuilding because like if I cut her carbs or like up her cardio, she's like, what does that mean? You think I'm fat? Like, what are you trying to say? Huh?
So true.
Like, yeah, it might happen. So we avoid that and we just be the number one fan.
So that's the next question: is feedback from loved ones more honest or more biased?
I got ahead of ourselves there. Sorry.
Oh boy.
Wait, say it again.
Is feedback from loved ones more honest or is it biased?
Okay, can I take a stab at
Adam's
this?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's go.
This is the Adams podcast.
It's the Adams show. And so my thoughts on that. I think sometimes when like family members are trying to like hold you back from dreams and like what you want to do, they're doing that because they don't want to see you grow because that makes them feel insecure. It makes them feel much better when you're down here where you've been, then all of a sudden you're surpassing them.
Yep.
Because it makes them feel like shit.
100%. Absolutely. I'm
projecting their own insecurities.
Oh, definitely. I remember, my brother-in-law, I'll just say it. He's probably not listening. And if he is, it's okay. But I remember he used to like truly like banter at me and like criticize me for like my social media presence and tell me that everyone thought I was so annoying online and all of these things that like could have stopped me, but it honestly just fueled me, And so that was something where like because he doesn't do that, I didn't respect that feedback nor the tone that was given to me in. And so I did for sure, get it again, it just fueled me to be like, well, good, then I'll annoy you.
Right.
I will say, like, for instance, our father, who I absolutely adore, he was very successful in what he did. He took some amazing like leadership courses. So when he gives me constructive criticism on like leadership or tips about leadership that he's learned, I love that because I'm like, yes, you did so well in that area. So I love learning from you in that area. But if it's like a tip on my business, I'm like, I love you, but you've never done my business. Right. So I think you have to be careful also as family members, like be careful where you're giving your advice and make sure it's truly that you're giving them that advice because you want to help them versus you don't want them to fail. Correct. Like as parents, we don't want our kids to fail. So it's easy to hold your kids back because you don't want them to fail.
But sometimes that's making them fail.
But that's making them fail. Like the best things that's ever happened to my kids is when they have failed. Right. Because it makes them get stronger.
Oh, I'll tell you that firsthand. Mm-hmm. You learn a lot of stuff when you fail.
Yes, you do.
You sure do.
Yeah. And you learn the other side of that when you're a parent.
Yep.
Right. I think a lot of it comes down to what we had discussed earlier is that it depends where the criticism is coming from. It's not that you don't respect your parent.
I think that's the biggest thing is who it's coming from.
Yeah, who it's coming from. That's what I mean. It depends on what they've done in reference to what you're trying to accomplish. Like, if I have my brother, criticizing me about how I'm running my coaching business and he's a realtor, then I'm like, you really don't know the full scope of things. So I don't respect your opinion. But there's lots of things that, our siblings or our parents or, other relatives and friends that are close are trying to like look after, like get your back and like make sure that you don't, portray yourself a certain way or like something might look silly to them or whatever. And so you have to take that with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you have to know that most of the time it's probably coming from love.
It is.
It probably is, but you also have to, you have to watch it because you'll stay small if you just always follow that advice because highly doubt they're like, yeah, shoot for the stars, go for that big thing. Highly doubt it.
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, I think again, it's because they do love you and they don't want you to, what I don't want to say fail, but maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Or get yourself in a hole that you can't get out of.
Definitely. But I think everyone has to understand also that everything we're talking about, every single one of us has gone through, every single person who's ever tried to go for something big in their life, whether it be bodybuilding or entrepreneurship or whatever it may be, everyone's going to have more failures than they are going to have successes. And if you are listening to this right now and you want to grow in your life, you are going to have to understand you are going to fail more times than you are not. And so you've got to fall in love with the process of failing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a book called Failing Forward. And I love it. It's from John Maxwell. It's an amazing book because no one who's ever been successful did not fail. And so if you're afraid to fail, work on that first before you go for a goal.
I mean, successful people are really just people that failed a lot and eventually got to where they wanted to get.
So would you say that that's what makes people coachable? What makes people coachable?
I think I think it goes back to the respect thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, when I was, in Little League baseball, like I respected the hell out of my baseball coach because he was a hard ass, but I knew he was a great baseball coach. So I respected the hell out of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
But, and maybe that's a personality trait too. Some people are just more coachable than others,
Right.
But again, I think if you're that person that just like really wants to soak up, again, with my bodybuilding career, like when I started with Dylan, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. Everything that dude told me, I just soaked it up because I wanted to win and I wanted to be so good. And everything he told me, I wanted to execute it perfectly because I was trying to be the best I could be.
So it's the willingness to learn. It's the willingness to learn from the people that you respect in that position. And so if you're going to hire somebody as your coach or your mentor, being sure to listen to them and to avoid that outside clutter of information that's coming in just because you're interested in the topic.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
And I think it's also important to, if you are in a point where you're frustrated or feeling like this isn't working, or we all get in our head, right? I think it's important to have those conversations with your coach. So get with them and don't be afraid to say, hey, listen, I'm having a hard day. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Is this really for me? They're there also to lift you up and speak life into you as well.
Right.
And so I think that's really important too. It just, the bottom line goes down to is how bad do you really want it? And are you willing to go for it?
Yeah.
And are you willing to do shit that people aren't willing to do?
Because here's the deal. You can go to the gym and get into decent shape by lifting weights and eating okay and everything. I mean, you look at them, you look at me, we obviously see we have different goals.
You're a great example. You're a terrible example.
But the same thing goes, you don't have to decide you want to be a bodybuilder, right? Like you can do smaller stages of that. You could just decide you just want to be in shape and hire a coach because you just want to be in shape.
Totally.
Same thing with my business. You don't have to decide you want to go and like do huge things with this. You could decide you want to make a couple $1,000s a month. And guess what? $500 a month. You can absolutely do that. So not everything has to be to the extreme, but you have to decide what you really want and be willing to work at that level.
And you have to have realistic expectations. You can't go into it and like, oh, I want to be this bodybuilder, but I want to put in normal person effort.
Yes.
Like that's not how it works either. You can't say, I want to make, $50,000 a month, but I really don't want to work on Sundays. Like it's just not how it works.
Or late at night.
Correct.
And my bedtime.
I don't want to have to wake up at 7. Like that's just not it. Like you have to be willing to do shit that people aren't willing to do if you want to go places people aren't. And that's just how it is.
Well, and also I think as a coach, it comes from my responsibility to guide them and not fill them with expectations that are grand, illusions of grandeur. Like, I think that it's important to say like, look, like I'll give you an example. I had one of my clients who she's been, doing pretty good, keeping on track. And I had a lot of heart-to-hearts with her to get her to that position. But last week she asked me if she should start prepping for a bodybuilding show. And I was like, don't start prepping for a bodybuilding show just because you want something held over your head to keep you accountable. Let's actually do the foundational stuff first. Show me that you can actually show up to the gym consistently at least 3 days a week. Show me that you can actually show up and get your meals prepped, every day. Show me that you can get your water intake. Don't go from 0 to 100 just because you think that that's going to push you further. If you can't get the realistic, like foundational stuff from the beginning, then what's going to happen when you're done with the bodybuilding show? Nothing, because you didn't build the habits correctly to get there in the first place. And so as a coach, I had to be like, no, you know?
Well, and I feel like some people try to go too fast. They make, and a lot of like people who have the futuristic like trait, they try to dream so big. So they go so hard in the beginning. I've seen people do this so many times.
Yeah.
They go 1,000,000 miles a minute for a month and a half.
Mhm.
And then
they're done.
they have not achieved their goal and they're exhausted. And then they just give up, when it's like, if you would just like, if you know what your goal is, but you would just stay consistent with what you're doing, stay consistent showing up to the gym, stay consistent with your meal plan, like not having to go 0 to 100, you'll build to that place, but it also won't exhaust you.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And people, you know, they like, you don't get in your car and then expect to be driving in F1 races the next weekend. Like it's just, it's not how it works. And that's what people think. They think like, oh, I'm going to start this new hobby and then like just be killing it like the next week. It's just not, it's nothing works like that.
Absolutely. It's like sports, right? I always say like for sports, you start as a kid. No one decided to start playing. I mean, maybe their senior year of high school, I doubt it, football, and they suddenly go D1 the next year. It doesn't work that way.
And if that happened, you're a genetic freak.
You are a genetic freak. And so I'm not saying it's never happened,
Right.
But most likely that does not happen. You started probably at the age of 7 years old with flag football and you worked your way up there.
Right. Yeah. And so that's the part about being coachable, is being willing to take those hits on the chin, those, you know, that constructive criticism, that failure, and to be able to come back and rebuild and do it better the next step. And then just keep building on a consistent basis until you get to where you're trying to achieve. You know, nobody goes out and listens to, you know, a homeless person for financial advice. Like, asking the right person for the right advice, staying in your own lane, not let it be clouded by other judgments that you're seeing from social media and things like that, is what is really going to make you become that uncoachable person to that coachable person. And it's going to help elevate you into that success that you need. So I think this is a good episode. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you.
We'll start with our next episode is going to be around ADHD and OCD. So stay tuned.